Hey everyone, welcome to Restorative Yoga for Unity Care. This is the class for April 1st. Let's go ahead and take our spots at the wall. And I want to encourage you to cover your mat with your blanket. I'll give you a demonstration here in case you're new to this class. For this pose, you scoot in pretty close to the wall, tip your hips on their sides. Then you've got to tuck this arm underneath to get over onto your back and stretch your legs up. Now the cool thing is, since you're doing this on YouTube, you could pause, you could watch the steps slowly, do whatever you need to do. You'll see that I still have my socks on, and I welcome you to keep your socks on as well. When you elevate your legs, the blood tends to flow out of your feet, and they might start to feel cooler than you would like. Once you get yourself settled here, let your hands rest a little more out to the sides maybe than you otherwise would, with the palms turned up, and then let your arms rest. Let your body soften. It's easier to say, let your body soften, than to actually soften your body. So maybe we can encourage that process by attending to the breath. Let's start with a long, slow inhalation. And exhale out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose. And out through your mouth. Let's keep going that way. And when you're breathing out, imagine that you're fogging the mirror. Keep going as if you're fogging the mirror, listening to the sound of your own breath coming out of you. Continue to breathe the same way. And every time you exhale, let your body get a little bit softer. Maybe just a teeny tiny bit, maybe just around the edges. I want you to keep breathing as if you're fogging the mirror, but I'd like you to try doing it with your lips closed. We've all had to yawn sometimes with the lips closed. Maybe you feel your nostrils kind of winging out when you do that. But try to have that same feeling of fog or steam, and let it bring that sentiment of softening. As I often do, I have a poem to share with you. This one is by Mary Oliver. It's one of my favorite poems. Maybe you've heard it before. It's called Some Questions You Might Ask. Is the soul solid like iron? Or is it tender and breakable like the wings of a moth in the beak of the owl? Who has it and who doesn't? I keep looking around me. The face of the moose is as sad as the face of Jesus. The swan opens her white wings slowly. In the fall, the black bear carries leaves into the darkness. One question leads to another. Does it have shape like an iceberg? Like the eye of a hummingbird? Does it have one lung like the snake and the scallop? Why should I have it and not the anteater who loves her children? Why should I have it and not the camel? Come to think of it, what about the maple trees? What about the blue iris? What about all the little stones sitting alone in the moonlight? What about roses and lemons and their shining leaves? What about the grass? I love it so much, I'm going to read it again. Some questions you might ask. Is the soul solid, like iron? Or is it tender and breakable, like the wings of a moth in the beak of the owl? Who has it and who doesn't? I keep looking around me. The face of the moose is as sad as the face of Jesus. The swan opens her white wings slowly. In the fall, the black bear carries leaves into the darkness. One question leads to another. Does it have a shape like an iceberg? Like the eye of the hummingbird? Does it have one lung, like the snake and the scallop? Why should I have it and not the anteater who loves her children? Why should I have it and not the camel? Come to think of it, what about the maple trees? What about the blue iris? What about all the little stones sitting alone in the moonlight? What about roses and lemons and their shining leaves? What about the grass? Some questions you might ask. Maybe a question is, do I have a soul? What is a soul? With the hands open wide, let's take the legs wider apart now. And feel the space between your body and the ceiling of the room. Don't think it, feel it. Feel that this space, which we would usually call nothing or empty or nothing's there, feel it and notice that there is something. It's not solid, at least not to our senses, but there is something there and we can feel it. And now feel for the space between your left and right sides and the walls to the left and the right. Feel where your body ends and becomes this space. Now, can you feel the space between the crown of your head and the wall across from you? Let's continue to feel that space between the crown of the head and the wall across, and bend the knees to bring the soles of the feet together. Now, underneath you is the blanket, the mat, and the floor, the building's foundation, the earth. Can you feel into that space now? Notice that we've gone away from the idea of something called nothing to something we might call something, the floor, the foundation, the yoga props. And we're trying to feel for space. So maybe these things that we think of as real or not real aren't quite as easy to define as we might think. Let's move attention now into your hands. Can you feel a space between the bottom and the top of your hands? What about space in your thumbs, inside? Is there space to be felt in your pinky fingers? What about your middle fingers? Ring fingers? Pointers? Feel for that space, awareness, and aliveness in your hands and fingers. Let's do a couple rounds of that fogging breath again and find out if these spacious hands and fingers could get a little softer. Let's feel for emptiness or spaciousness in the arms, lower arms and upper arms. What about your shoulders? Can you feel space in your trunk? Let's bring the knees together and stretch the legs back up the wall. And then feel for spaciousness all around your hip joints, your buttocks, the whole lowest portion of your trunk. And then a couple rounds of that fogging exhale. The yogis call that one ujjayi. So I'll call it ujjayi from now on. Ujjayi exhalation to invite all those places where we're feeling space to soften. And let's feel for space in the thighs. And then what about the calves and shins? How about space in your ankles and heels? You invite space into your feet, your toes. Maybe it's not so much inviting space, but feeling space there. And then let's use the Ujjayi exhalation to invite the feet and legs and hips to get softer. Okay, now let's bend the knees on down towards the chest. Shift your hips a bit to the left. Roll your knees over to the right. Feel free to tuck something between your knees if that feels better on your back. A blanket, a block, bolster, pillow, your own arm. Any of those are great. I think I'm going to use my arm today. Let's go back for feeling space again in all those places we've already visited. And we'll use the Ujjayi exhalation to invite all those parts to soften. And now can we invite in the neck and head into that practice of spaciousness? Right away, use that Ujjayi exhalation to soften the neck and the head into this experience of space. If your arm is also between your knees, you could take it out now. You're going to take the feet back up the wall and then shift the hips to center. Slide your legs back up the wall. Feel for a whole body experience of spaciousness. Use your Ujjayi exhalations to soften the whole body now. Include your facial muscles, your eyes, your jaw, your tongue. Let's move to our second twist now. Bend your knees and shift your hips over to the right. And then roll on over to the left side. Again, you might use your arm between your knees or some other prop so that you can be comfortable. How can we experience space in the body in this position? Notice the parts that don't feel spacious. And can you direct your breath into those places? Now to come out of the pose, stretch your left arm along your left ear. If that doesn't feel good, just put your left hand by your left ear and roll onto your side, supporting your head with your hand or your arm. Ujjayi exhalation, like fogging the mirror, softening your body. To come up, place your right palm on the floor, press the hand down, lift yourself up, slip your left hand under, and then we're going to scoot away from the wall. Scoot far enough away so you can stretch out both legs straight. Let's take the arms out to the sides again, palms turned up. Turn your toes up towards the ceiling so your legs become active. And then press your left heel down into the floor. And we're going to do our best to slide the right heel out to the right, the whole right leg over to the right, keeping the toes facing the ceiling. And then slide that leg back in. Left leg now, slide it out to the side. And then slide it back in. Let's do that again. We'll inhale as the leg slides to the right. We'll exhale as we slide it back to the center. Second side, inhale. Exhale. Good. Now I know it's a little tough with the edges of the blanket. You might get a little bumpy, but we're going to try it again. We're going to take the legs wide apart. Let's leave them there. And let's slide the arms overhead. Maybe the hands even touch. And let's open the arms wide. And when they pass that 90 degrees point, that out from the shoulders point, let's take the legs and the arms together like a snow angel. Oh yeah, the blanket's going to get in the way. Oh well, let's take our snow angels big and wide. Arms going to go all the way overhead, legs wide. Arms come out to the sides, and then we'll slide legs and arms back together. And let's do this with the breath. We'll inhale as we're carving the snow angel upward and outward. And we'll exhale as we bring everyone back to center. Last time, your blanket is likely a big bunchy mess like mine is. Don't worry about it. And then we'll exhale, meet with the legs back to center. Now you might be able to straighten your blanket out with your feet. Maybe it just doesn't even bother you. I wish it didn't bother me, but that's not the kind of person I am. All right, we're going to take the arms out to the sides again, palms down this time. And we'll slide the right foot along the floor until your knee faces the ceiling. Then rock your knee to the right, and you rock to the outer edge of that right foot. Keep on the edge of the foot as you slide your leg back straight, like you're drawing a line with the outer edge of your foot. And then once the leg is straight, turn the toes back up towards the ceiling. Let's do that right side again. Bend the knee up towards the ceiling. Foot is on the floor. Rock your knee out to the side. Slide your leg out straight. Turn the toes up. One more time. Feel your foot gliding and sliding on the blanket. And we'll meet with all the toes turned up. Let's relax the legs a moment, letting the toes turn out. Feel for spaciousness in your right leg and your left leg. Okay, turn all the toes up to the ceiling again. We'll slide the left leg to bent. We'll rock the knee out to the side. And we'll slide the leg out to straight again. Let's do it a couple more times. Great. Now we're going to bend the elbows so you look like a cactus or a goalpost. Let's pull the elbows down toward the side waists. Palms stay turned up. And then let's keep the elbows bent, but raise them up. Maybe even your fingertips come to touch with the elbows bent. The hands would meet above your head on the floor. Let's do that a couple more times. Sliding as best you can. Just feel what happens when we do this. Let's meet with the fingertips touching overhead. And then slowly slide your arms to straight, reaching your arms away from the wall along the floor. The palms can face each other here. Now let's bend the right knee along the floor and the right elbow along the floor so that the right side's getting shorter. Then let's reach into the left arm and the left foot, taking a big, long, slow inhalation. And as you exhale, we're going to straighten the right leg and arm and bend the left side. Reach the right side long. Inhale. As you exhale, transition. The right side is bent, the left side is straight. Inhale, reach long through that left side. Exhale, we'll switch it up, gliding along the floor still. Inhale, stretch long. Exhale, side bend right, long and strong on the left. Inhale. Exhale as we switch it up. One more time. Inhale, reach that right side long. This time when you exhale, come back to cactus arms, both legs straight. All right, now we're going to bend the knees, keeping your knees bent. Heel toe your feet wide to the edges of a mat. Let's lace the hands together behind the head. Pause a moment there to feel for spaciousness. Where do I feel spacious? Where do I feel, I don't know, what's the opposite of spacious? Crowded? Blocked? Maybe there just isn't much awareness in some parts. Let's lift the 10 toes off the floor. Feel your arches lift, your feet are enlivened. And then rock your knees over to the right. Let's pause there with the knees to the right. Inviting space wherever this pose encourages that. People sometimes ask, where am I supposed to feel this? I can tell you where I feel it, but it's going to be different for each one of us. I mostly feel it along the top of this left leg. Let's take a big inhalation here, feeling for the space that could be encouraged here And with the exhalation, rock your knees back to center. Keep your toes lifted. And we'll rock the knees over to the left. Let's hang out there. Keep the toes lifted and the feet lively. You can press those edges of your feet into the floor. Inhale a long, slow, deep breath in. With your exhalation, rock your knees back to the center. Now let's rock the knees back over to the right. This time I want you to really press that left foot into the floor. And without moving it on the floor, isometrically pull that heel in towards your sitting bone. And notice if the contracting of your glutes and hamstrings is giving you an opportunity for more space on the front side of the leg. Let's inhale into that. As you exhale, we'll rock the knees back center. Go ahead and start to push the inner edge of the right foot into the floor as you rock your knees left. And then you're isometrically pulling that heel in towards your sitting bone. So you're engaging your glutes and your hamstrings, and that often gives more stretch on the front of the leg. More space available. Breathe in. Breathe out as you rock back to center. We're going back to the right side, knees to the right. We're going to slide along the blanket to side bend to the right, reaching your left elbow toward the other end of your mat, and maybe even turn your head and look at that left elbow. Inhale, isometrically pull the left heel towards your sitting bone. Exhale, slide to the center and rock to the center at the same time. Now we're going to the left side, gliding along the blanket as best you can, maybe looking at that right elbow. Inhale, draw the heel in towards the sitting bone. Exhale, slide back to center. Let's do that again with just one inhalation for the side bend and the activity of the hamstrings and glutes. And the exhalation, right back to center. Last time on the second side now. Inhale. And exhale, back to the center. Let's heel toe the feet back together. Rock onto your heels, slide your legs out straight. Keep your hands bound behind your head. Now, push out more through the right heel. Slide the right leg towards the wall. And let's side bend to the left and stretch that whole right side into the elbow. Inhale. Exhale, back center. Left leg slides out, we side bend to the right. Look to the left elbow if your neck is okay with that. Exhale, back to center. Let's go side to side here with breath. Next time you're on your left side, that'll be the last one. And then when you come back to center, unlace your hands. Let your arms come to rest on the floor. Let your legs relax. And let's feel for space again through the whole body. Now we'll bend both knees. Roll on over to your side. Help yourself up. Let's fold the blanket up now, but we'll save it to pad the knees. Fold it in half again. And come to all fours with the hands under the shoulders, the knees under the hips. We'll take a little cat-cow stretch. Let's start though by being really aware of the hands. Press down into the roots of your index fingers, right where your fingers meet your palm, and the roots of your pinky fingers. The roots of your thumbs are down a little lower. So that feels like 3 corners of a square. Let's find a 4th corner way down on the other side of the palm. Press all 4 of those points down. As you press into those 4 points, feel again for space in your hands and fingers. If we have a better balance between the distribution of weight in the hands, it's less likely that one part's going to feel cut off and another part will feel maybe overstretched. Now let's round up into the cat shape, exhaling as you do so. And inhale as you arch into the cow. Exhaling to the cat, keeping even pressure on the 4 corners of each hand. Inhale to the cow. Keep going now with your own breath rhythm, keeping that same continuous pressure through the 4 corners of each hand. One more cat. One more cow. Let's meet in all 4s. Now stretch your right leg back. Feel your big toe mound on the floor. Can you also feel your pinky toe mound? It's a little harder to feel. And then notice your heel. Let's say that there's an inner heel and an outer heel. And again, 4 points on that right foot. Let's raise the right leg up and push out through those 4 points in the foot. Press your thigh up as high as you can without letting your belly tip down towards the floor. Inhale. As you exhale, lower the right leg down. Still 4 points in each hand. Let's stretch the left leg back, feeling for big toe mound, pinky toe mound, inner heel, outer heel, and then raise the leg up from the floor. Good. Breathe in, breathe out, bring the left knee back down. Now, if you're wearing socks, the way that I'm wearing socks, take them off. Bare feet now, so we can really contact the mat. We're going to step the right foot forward up between the hands. So now we can really contact those 4 points on the right foot. Let's rise up to a low lunge. And then take your arms up overhead. As your arms reach up, imagine that you're holding a log or a brick or something across your hands, and that you can press the 4 points of each hand into that object. Meanwhile, the right foot is pressing strongly down into the floor. The left toe mounds are pressing towards the floor. The left heel could press back. Good. Now let's take the arms out to the sides to help you balance, because you're going to step the right knee back. Keep your arms out to help you balance as you step your left foot forward. 4 points on the left foot. 4 points on the right foot. Raise the arms. Feel again that the hands can press towards an imaginary object there. 4 points in the hands. Breathing in. Breathing out. Active feet and hands, feeling for space. Excellent. Take your arms out to the sides. Lean out over your knee. Bring your fingertips to the floor. And now you're going to step that right foot up to meet the left foot. Knees are bent. But let's feel again for the 4 points in each foot. Left foot, right foot. Inner heels, outer heels. Big toe mounds, pinky toe mounds. Press strongly into both feet. And then raise your arms and reach them forward. Take your sitting bones back as far as you can. Keep trying to find those 4 points in each foot. As the points press down for steadying, feel for spaciousness. Good. Bring your hands to your hips. Press down into the feet. Inhale and rise up. Put the hands on the hips. Find the steadiness through the heavy bones of your pelvis all the way down into your feet. Stand strongly on both feet. Let's take the arms out to the sides and then overhead. You can see my space is a little small. I could almost put my palms flat on the ceiling. Too bad I can't quite reach the ceiling. And yet it's not quite tall enough for me to have hands extended. You might also be in a restricted space. You can have palms turned up or palms turned towards each other. Let's take a breath in together, pressing into the feet. And as you exhale, open your arms wide. Let's keep the arms out to the sides to help balance, because that's what we're going to do, is balance on the left foot and raise your right knee up towards your chest. Take the knee as far as you can without feeling unsteady. It might be that your foot is barely hovering off the floor. Don't worry there. Find those 4 points of the left foot and feel how you can use that awareness to find more steadiness. So if I'm falling this way, I could push the big toe mound down. If I'm falling that way, it might be the outer heel. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, lower your leg and your arms at the same time. And back to your mountain pose, Tadasana. 4 points in each foot. Finding spaciousness inside, steadiness through the feet. We'll take the arms up again, shifting weight into the right leg. 4 points. Raise the left leg. Feel for space. It's wonderful to have that balance of steadiness and spaciousness. Inhale. Exhale, lower your leg, lower your arms. Bring your hands onto your hips this time. Come onto your right toe mounds. And then spin the leg towards the right, keeping your hip bones level to the floor. Stay here, or bring your heel to rest just above the left ankle. Or slide your foot up below your knee, or slide your foot up above your knee. You can use your hand to help if you're going for the above the knee position. Now each foot still has 4 points. Can you press into them and find a way to use those 4 points to steady you? Bring your hands to your heart. This is the tree pose, Vrikshasana. Let's take the fingers up. Dive your fingers back. And then can you dive your fingers down behind your head? See, my tree is waving in the wind. But somehow I'm finding a way to stay anchored and rooted. Maybe you're falling. Don't worry. Every tree falls eventually. We don't know quite when. Then we'll reach the arms upward. And then again, we'll take them outward. And then step back to mountain pose, Tadasana. Second side, hands to your hips. Come onto the toe mounds of your left foot. Spin the leg out without letting the pelvis turn. We did some practice for this on our backs. Remember, we were working with turning the knee out. And then you could rest your heel above the ankle, or perhaps the bottom of the foot will touch your inner calf. Or maybe you're going to help the foot come to your inner thigh, feeling the 4 points in each foot, doing their work to help you feel steady and strong so that you could also relax into spaciousness. Let's take the arms out to the sides this time. And then arms can come up overhead into the position of your choice, depending on the height of your ceiling. If you're super steady and confident in tree pose, try closing your eyes. What would it be like to just close the eyes? If you did close your eyes, open them again. We're going to open the arms back wide, and we'll carefully step down. If you're up for a little more challenge, stand up on top of your blanket. This will make the ground a little more wiggly. Let's pause a moment here to feel the sense of space between your body and the wall in front of you. The space between your back and the wall behind you. The space on the two sides, left and right. Space above your head and down below your feet. Hands to the hips. We'll start by raising the right knee, turning it to the side, Choose your foot position for this side. Be sure you have a place to rest your gaze that's going to help with your balance. And notice that the ground is a little more wiggly here. Aren't some days just like that? Now this time choose an arm position that works for you. Maybe you want to keep the hands here, or take your arms like a cactus. Maybe you want to make up some new variation of an arm position. It's completely up to you. I think I'll rest my hands on my heart. The spaciousness around you. Here you are in the center, finding your 4 points in your feet. If your arms are up or out, bring them back to your heart. Let's step back with 2 feet on the floor. Maybe you're on the blanket, maybe you're on the mat. For even more steadiness, some folks prefer to be right on the wood floor. So find out what's true for you. We'll make our way to the second side. Bringing your foot to your inner leg somewhere. Steady in your awareness of the 4 points. And steady in your awareness of the space all around you. Choose your favorite arm position for this side. Feeling space and steadiness in balance. Contemplating things that seem solid, things that don't seem solid, and maybe none of those definitions are really that constant. Maybe there's a little shift, and we're not quite sure. Let's stay like Mary Oliver in the realm of questioning. Let's all meet with the hands at the heart. Let's step the foot down, back to mountain pose. Let your arms come down by your sides. Close your eyes. Feel again the space around you. In front, behind, to the left and right, above and below, and space inside. There'll be a continuity, continuous awareness of space. Let your eyes softly open and still contemplate this space. If you're on the blanket, step off. We're all going to step the legs wide apart, as wide as you can without feeling unstable. Then turn your heels out enough so that the outer edges of your feet run parallel to the edges of your mat. Put a bend in your knees and start to fold forward. And then when you can, bring your hands down to the floor. If you can't reach the floor, you can take your feet wider. I know it seems backwards, but that actually brings you closer to the floor. And plant your hands under your shoulders. When your hands are planted, feel again for those 4 corners of your hands. And let's feel again the 4 corners of the feet. Now, if you have a hamstring length, start to straighten your legs, lifting up through your sitting bones. And then let's all bend the knees again. With knees bent, let's keep lifting the sitting bones up. Lift high through the sitting bones. And then again, if you have the hamstring length, stretch your legs straight. Keep your hips in the same line with your feet, but walk your hands forward. In other words, don't let your hips come forward with your hands. Stretch your arms as long as they can go. Try to bring your head between your arms and find again the four contact points between the feet and the hands. I guess it's within the feet, each foot and each hand. Space inside, continuous with space outside. Okay, walk your hands back in under your shoulders. Carefully heel toe your feet together. You're going to end up heel toeing up onto your blanket. Knees can bend. Find the 4 points in each foot. Shift your hands to your hips. Now, before you stand up, press down through your feet. Rise up using all those 4 contact points to support you. One more Tadasana, one more mountain pose. Let your eyes softly open. Now take your blanket and roll it up. And if you have got tassels on your blanket, as I do, tuck them inside of your roll. We're going to come to Shavasana with the blanket behind the knees. Press your blanket down so that it doesn't roll away from you. And then set yourself up so that blanket ends up behind your knees. Lay your body down for your corpse pose. If you want to put your socks back on or your sweater, go ahead and do that now. And then start to find your breath again. Let's take a few cycles of that fogging ujjayi exhalation. You can have lips open or lips closed. And let's let the ujjayi breath go, as if we've sort of sent out the message to the body. Please continue to soften. As the body softens, feel again the space to the left and right of you. The space between your head and the wall across from you. The space beyond your feet towards the wall. The space above you. And the space underneath. And then what if we took away the limitation of the walls and you could feel out into the space all around. Beyond your neighborhood, out into the greater world, maybe even beyond this world. Simultaneously feel that interior space. And release that limitation of the boundaries of your body. This inner and outer space feel continuous. Some questions you might ask. Is the soul solid like iron? Or is it tender and breakable like the wings of a moth in the beak of the owl? Who has it and who doesn't? I keep looking around me. The face of the moose is as sad as the face of Jesus. The swan opens her wings, her white wings slowly. In the fall, the black bear carries leaves into the darkness. One question leads to another. Does it have a shape like an iceberg? Like the eye of a hummingbird? Does it have one lung like the snake and the scallop? Why should I have it and not the anteater who loves her children? Why should I have it and not the camel? Come to think of it, what about the maple trees? What about the blue iris? What about all the little stones sitting alone in the moonlight? What about roses and lemons and their shining leaves? What about the grass? You can slowly deepen your breath now. Bring in any small natural movements, circling the feet, or opening and closing the hands. And then reach your arms overhead. Stretch your legs, stretch your arms like a big yawn. Next time you exhale, bring your arms down, bend your knees, and then roll over to your right side. And then come on up and meet me in a seat and close together. Bring your palms together right there in front of your heart. Eyes can close or gaze softly at the floor. Let's feel again for interior space and exterior space being continuous. And then we can chant together the sound of Om 3 times. Om. 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 Namaste. Thanks for joining me. I'm happy that you're taking good care of yourself, getting your yoga practice in, and also asking some questions, as Mary Oliver recommends. Well, I will see you all back on Facebook Live next Friday. Hope you have a wonderful week.